All right, Jeannie, it's great to talk to you. And I'm excited about this CD, this new project of yours. Being a Facebook friend of yours, I've seen some of the previews as they've come out, the songs and the videos. And but I think just the other day was the first time I like listened to it in my car, like the project, instead of just hearing the snippets or whatever. And I was like, wow, this is good. This is like well
Wow.
produced. You sound great. Your vocals are awesome. The songs are catchy. So, yeah, I
Thank
wanted to
you.
connect with you about it. We go back a long time,
Yes, we
um,
do.
and so we in a different circle. Now you're in a artist back in your artist circle. Not that you ever left it, but focusing on that.
Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about the CD. And I think, anyway, I won't get ahead of myself. Tell me a little bit about when you decided you wanted to start putting this CD back together or
Yeah.
project, because it's not a CD, right? It's a just digital, right?
What are they called anymore, right? It's so
I don't know.
funny
I
because
call it projects, I think.
for sure I'm going to make physical copies just because I want it for my catalog. This will be my fourth studio recorded, album. And I'm like, I need to have a physical copy. It's so weird. But yeah, I guess it's just, yeah, it's a release, it's a record. So yeah, it was about 2 years ago. I had just finished writing a book, and for probably the almost the last decade, I've been working in media, which is how we really became acquainted. And I was doing that. I was doing journalism. I was doing entertainment, media, and you know, about 2 years ago, I started to feel like, okay, a lot of life had happened. I had been married for a good amount of time now. I lost a bunch of my children in miscarriage, and then I had my miracle baby. I wrote a book. Like, a lot of things happened, and I was content. My husband and I are in full-time ministry. We have a church plant that we have, and so we're busy. I didn't have to add anything else. But music has always been a part of me. Writing has always been a part of me. But I would say for the last decade, I didn't feel inspired to write songs. I don't know if it was because I was writing, articles, and I was writing a book and things like that, but they weren't coming to me. And then about 2 years ago, I said that three times, but about 2 years ago, I started to feel it. It was time. I had stuff to say. The songs were coming, the melodies were coming, and I really sensed strongly that I was being pushed into writing music again. My connection with God is very strong, and I felt led to start making music. Like, this was the time to release this. And so I started 2 years ago, and here we are now, release the release of the album, and I couldn't be prouder of it. It's really the album that I wanted to make. Everything that I wanted to say, I said it. The way I wanted it to sound, it sounds. It feels like Jeannie, 20 years ago, when I was a pop star coming out of Brooklyn, making it out of the ghetto. It's that girl meets who I am now, the woman that I am now, the faith-filled woman that I am now, the mother, the wife, the mentor. Everything that I do, I just feel like it's all me, and I'm really proud of it.
Well, you should be. And I was going to make that observation too. I felt like I'm not as familiar with your other Christian releases, but to me, this seems like it draws you back into that your pop star. Like this is a pop record. It's, like I say, the songs are catchy. Tell me, and I know, but tell us for the sake of the video, your background. I remember when um, one of our first junkets that we were having breakfast, and you said that you were a top 10 Billboard charting artist, and I was like, what? So tell everybody about your background there.
Yeah, so I grew up in the ghetto of New York, Brooklyn, Bushwick at the time. It was the ghetto. It's not the ghetto anymore, or it's on the up and up. But growing up there was hard. I There was a lot of violence outside and in my home, as passionate as we were and as loving as we could be, there was also violence in the home because of alcohol abuse. And so I didn't have an outlet. I couldn't go anywhere for safety, for peace. And early on, music was just instrumental in making me want to live. I, as a really, really young girl, because I couldn't get the violence inside to stop. And, I'm grateful that I only suffered verbal, abuse, but I witnessed a lot of other abuse. Um, and then just being outside, there was never any peace, there was never anything. So I'm like, maybe this life would be better if I wasn't in it, or maybe everyone would stop fighting if I wasn't in it. That was a lie, that was really inserted in me as a child to pretty much snuff out all the purpose that I have in me. And I didn't know it at the time. Now I know, but I was so grateful because music was my saving grace. I didn't know God. I didn't have a faith. I didn't have things like that. And really, now I know all of it would lead me to my faith and to who I am now. But initially it was music, and so music got a hold of me. It captured my little heart. It made me feel better. I cried my eyes out, and then I'm like, I'm going to be a famous singer. That's what I'm going to do, because I'm going to help girls the way music helped me. And it was Mariah Carey. And I say this all the time, but really, God used that woman to save my life at that time, because I didn't know God, but I knew music, and her lyrics pulled me out of despair. So then I would go on to really try to pursue to be a singer. And I was discovered in a New York City taxi cab. True story. I was singing along to the radio. The cab driver, he moonlit as a limo driver. And he's like, I'm singing along to the radio because I can't shut up if there's music on. I'm like that still. And he drops us off at the house, my mom and I, and he's like, you sound really good and you're pretty. Like, do you have any music? Like, I drive around famous people all the time. Maybe I can give your music to someone. And of course, I'm from New York. I'm a hustler. I'm like, stay right there. I'll get you something. Run downstairs, give him a cassette tape of me. 2 weeks later, a manager in the industry calls, and she's like, I don't know what compelled me to actually consider my driver's, the girl from my driver's neighborhood on this cassette tape, but I needed to meet you. And that was it. And, from the age of 11, or maybe a little, I was 13 when I met her. So from the age of 13 to 19, I was recording in the music industry. I wound up getting a Hollywood Records recording deal. I did have top Billboard success. Billboard actually voted my debut album #1 on the charts.
Hmm.
And my single with Papoose, a very popular secular rapper, he's industry, very, very like street underground hip hop at the time. That single went top Billboard, pop Billboard. It went gold on radio. It opened up the doors for me to become the opening act, the sole opening act for the international superstar Rihanna. I toured with Frankie J, Luis Fonsi. So many doors were opened. People knew my songs. Radio was playing it, and I did all this. And yeah, my dreams had come true essentially. I ran away from home, from all the drama and the violence in house and out of my house, to the industry. And I got really, really successful.
And then you had a turnaround because you
Yeah,
found that the industry was not everything you're looking for, right? You were trying to save your life and found out that it was it didn't satisfy, right?
absolutely not. I genuinely thought I was running away into safety, into something that was secure and that could maybe perhaps offer peace or offer some sense of purpose. And I find that people do this all the time. We put our worth into what we do, and we think that once we reach those goals, that's it, we'll feel good, we'll feel satisfied, we'll feel fulfilled. But that wasn't the case. What it does is it just kind of feeds this little monster in you that just wants more, 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 and nothing satisfies, which is why we see artists in the entertainment industry specifically they go off the deep end, and we see it often because none of it satisfies. And I'm just grateful that in that point of my life where here I was with everything I ever wanted, and then a big blowout in the house happened again, and I found myself yet again not wanting to be here. I'm like, what's the point of all this? I had all this, I've had all the success. People know my name, they know my music, I have money, I can have whatever, whoever I want. What's the point of it? And yeah, someone in that moment, which was so crucial, and I'm grateful in hindsight, invited me to church. And I thought, here I am. I made it out the hood. I grew up in a kind of a religious setting of church and some weird spiritual occult practices that are weaved into the Latin culture. But I never knew, I never knew relationship. I never knew that my life had purpose in a divine way. And I was invited to church, and that really was the game changer for me, because in that moment, and when I needed it the most, and when I was at my lowest and I was really at the brink of giving up, I had an encounter with God and his presence that changed everything.
Awesome. And you've been after that you released some Christian praise records, right? I've seen you some of your background on some of the shows on Christian television and stuff. You had your own show there with the TBN Latin division, right?
Yeah.
So and did music and did media with with me, right? We're all
Yeah.
interviewing and we're on the red carpet, and now you have this project. It's with I was going to ask you about, is it a partnership with Rapzilla? Is that what's happening?
Yeah, so Rapzilla partnered with Syntax, which is a distribution company, to distribute artists' records. And I just signed with my manager, Justin.
He's a great
Who
guy. I was on a
I
media
Yes,
junket with him a few years ago.
right. And so can I say that's really how this all happened? I finally made the record that I wanted. So to your point, I did make some Christian records. I went to Nashville. I made a Jeannie Goes to Nashville record, but it wasn't a Jeannie record. It was a Jeannie
Right.
Goes to Nashville record. And I love it. And the stuff that came out of it was great, but it wasn't authentically fully me, right? I was trying to see if I should fit in a Christian mold because I'm a Christian now, right? So is that what I'm supposed to do? But it wasn't. It was fun and it was great, but it really wasn't what I was supposed to do. So I did all that, and then I kind of took a break from music for almost 10 years. And then as I'm creating this album, and I was finally in a safe place to record and to be everything that I am, irrespective of anything, right? To be
Yeah.
unashamedly me, bold, honest, because
Out of the box.
even sometimes in the Christian circles, it can be very, contained. So you use the
Right.
perfect word, in the box. And I don't have anything to prove to anyone. I wasn't signed to anyone. I'm doing this independently. My husband and I, we planted a church, so it's not like I had to answer so much to like someone else either. We have a spiritual covering, and he sanctions everything that we do, so that's great. But I just wanted to be me unashamedly, and I'm a woman. I'm a Christian, sure, but sometimes I have weaknesses and failures, and I miss it. And I wanted to talk even about that struggle, which I think sometimes in Christian music you lose in this day and age. So I think there's things turning around though. But then yeah, so I'm creating this record. I love it, and I'm like, who should I partner with? I feel like I needed to partner with someone because this is brand new again, and I'm stepping out. And Justin just came to my heart, and Justin works for Rapzilla, but I did not approach him to do anything with Rapzilla. I just said, hey, you came to my heart. I'm reaching out to you. This could be a God thing. Let me know what you think. And then months later, the partnership with Rapzilla happened for distribution. And I was so excited about that, but I still felt that we were meant to work together. So now he's my manager. And so that's kind of how it's happened. It's still an independent album, but it's distributed through Rapzilla with Syntax.
I just think it's really cool when people that I know are good people like you, and then somebody else that I know, Justin, who's a good person, you come
Mhm.
together and work on projects together. I think that's really cool how God works there, connecting people.
Yeah,
So
it's really amazing.
yeah, yeah. And So Ren is on this record and he does a really good job. That song, I sometimes I can't get it out of my head. So
Huh?
it's really good.
Yeah.
Yahweh.
Yeah, so my husband, Ren, to the church, they call him Reverend, but in his artistry, we call him the righteous rebel.
Yeah.
And yeah, he does a little bit of gospel reggae in there, which is
Yeah,
so
yeah, it's
fun.
really good. Because I've only known him from us, like having dinner at Universal and stuff. And you and I do most of the talking. So he's not really, he's not as outgoing as we are chatty. And then on this
Oh,
record,
yeah.
boy, that song especially comes out of his shell as far as what I'm thinking in my mind. So it's,
No, and can I just say, Dwayne, every time that we've performed it live, because people meet him and they know him as the minister or whatever, and he is like that. He's not outgoing like we are.
yeah,
And then he'll get on stage and do that, and people are like,
yeah, yeah,
they're like, is that the same person? And you know what? If it wasn't for me pushing him, he would never do that. But I think he has such a gift. So
yes.
you have to use that gift. And I'm so glad that I get to kind of push him for that. He's my husband. So he doesn't give me too much of a fight. And and I love it. He does come out of his shell and people really like it. So I'll let him know that you said that. He'll like
Yeah, yeah, he's a star in my book. So,
that. Oh.
of course, you've always been a star. So,
Oh,
it's great to catch up with you, Jeannie. Always excited to hear about what you're doing, and I'm really excited about this record. Like you said, I think it reflects you a lot, and I think you've given it 100%, and I hope more and more people hear about it. That's why we're talking today, because I want more and more people to hear about it. So.
oh, thank you so much, Dwayne. Yeah, I mean, it's called Letting Go. The album is called Letting Go. And essentially, what I've done is I've let go control.
Yeah,
I've done what I felt led to do in creating it. And the outcome, it's written in the stars.
yeah. Well, great, Jeannie. It's always good to talk to you, and hopefully we'll see you again. Uh, it's something or another, maybe
Yes,
double words or something next year.
yes. Thank you.